This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details. And
pick your poison with that defense.
Double doink.
Big boy's back. Just listen.
Good stuff.
9 to noon.
You like that?
There are many, many positives I can get out of this game.
And that's a fact.
Shine at 9. This is 9 to noon at FM 100.3 KFAN, the sports leader. You know, we had lots of laughs yesterday at the Omni, but a markedly more serious approach is required today. Game 2, the Howl at Oklahoma City, is tonight on KFAN at 7:30. And before that, our Howlin' with the Homies pregame show. Horton and Peterson on the call tonight, by the way. Big-time stuff when the core four of locals even gets close to sniffing a championship game or series, and that's what we have with our beloved Howl. We care, man. We care, man. We care so much. Wait till you get a load of this Eric Nordquist howl to get your Thursday going. Give it to us now.
Oh, my God! How could he do that?
I'm gone for the segment.
Did it brilliantly.
That's what this team is all about, defense and breaking hearts.
That's what this team needs to be about tonight, defense and breaking hearts. 9 to noon is in the air. Hell yeah, that was a heck of a howl. Today is Minnesota Mandate Day, 9 to noon. Before that, it behooves us to thank modern Mexican spot Lago Tacos.
Oh, yeah.
For the amazing food provided yesterday at the Omni. It is Lago Tacos, and they brought us food yesterday to the 9 to noon covenant, and we were just so wrapped up with everything transpiring in that lobby at the Omni. We forgot to thank Lago Tacos.
Did you put plastic down in the Ford Edge to make sure while you enjoyed your lunch there were no pieces of lettuce or cheese that found its way under your seat?
Lettuce on the floorboard, and the tacos are edible while driving. Lago Tacos, amazing food. The tacos are as good as you're going to have. So well done, Lago Tacos, and which now has a restaurant at the Omni in Eagan. Joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, is elite basketball mind and co-host of Howlin' with the Homies. It's Parker Fox at Parker Fox 24. Good morning, Parker.
Good morning, PA.
It is Minnesota Mandate Day into Game 2, beloved. We have mandates we have prepared and want vetted out by Division I and former NBA players. Thus, Parker and eventually Kevin Lynch at 11 o'clock will analyze, handicap, support, deny, rebuke, love, or take deep said mandates. Everybody in the Love Covenant ready to roll right now?
Ready to roll.
Let's
9 to noon on 3. 1, 2, 3. 9 to noon. This guy needs more clock.
Off the Rudy screen, snaking his way top of the key, now back beyond the three-point line. Works again in the paint, hangs and kicks out. Here's Conley, catch and shoot, 3 on the way. He hits! Anthony Edwards the dime, Mike Conley the triple. The Wolves quickly lead by 4 with 7:22 left to go in the third.
Mandate numero uno, and here's the deal. Mike Conley needs more clock, all right? He went at Shea twice Tuesday night, and he got fouled once, and he hit the free throws. Don't fret the age. Elevate and support his cunning and guile and ability to play the game the right way. Who doesn't trust Mike Conley more from three than Nickeil Alexander-Walker or Dante DiVincenzo. The moment is not too big for Mike Conley, and yours truly suggests at least 30 minutes tonight for Mike Conley. Parker, give it to me.
Yeah, I love that take. I think this is a series where you have a team in the Minnesota Timberwolves that are kind of searching for ways that they can beat this Thunder team. They feel like they kind of got embarrassed in this first game, and they really didn't have any offensive flow on that side of the ball. You have a guy in Mike Conley who's a complete table setter. He's a guy that's going to get everybody involved. He's going to make sure guys are in the right spots. He's going to make sure the offense flows. And we just didn't go to that at all in the second half. And it's something that I think if you're Chris Finch, you have to look back and say, how do you avoid scoring droughts? Well, you put a guy out there that knows how to set people up and get him in the right position. And that guy is Mike Conley. So I expect to see more from Mike Conley, just like you said tonight, PA.
More clock for the 37-year-old tonight. Let's test the Shea Trey.
Left of the lane, SGA hunts for the foul. He got it. He flipped it up off the glass. It drops in for two. The foul gets charged to Jaden McDaniels. That's his fifth. And that kind of typifies the two things the Wolves can't afford to have happen. Turnovers at one end and fouling SGA at the other.
Minnesota mandates into game 2 this evening, 7:30 KFAN. Now, like OKC did with us, let's play defense that sucks SGA into three-point shots. He was 0 for 4 Tuesday. Kind of reminds me of Jimmy Butler. I said this yesterday, but with Jimmy Butler, another player who can do it all like Shea, but transition or volume threes ain't Shea's thing. He's 27% with threes this playoff season, and when he gets goofy and shoots them a bunch, how about this? In the Memphis series, he had a couple of games where he went 3 of 10 and 2 of 7 from three. Against Denver, a couple of games where he went 0 for 5 and 1 for 6 from deep. Make him take the cheese and suck him into Shea trays. Gone with it, Pete Fox.
The Timberwolves shot 30 more threes than this Thunder's team did, and they still lost the game by over 25 points. So, you can talk about, shooting more threes, and me and Nordo talked about it before we got on the air here, and about just, you got to make the shots. Well, the Thunder showed you that you don't have to shoot that many threes, and they can play the style of basketball that they want to play. And they only make 11 threes, and over half of them comes from their bench. So I think when you talk about the three ball and you talk about the way you want to guard Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, yes, make him make shots. He was 10 of 27 from the floor, but his ability to get to the free throw line was evident. And yeah, we could talk about flopping and this and that, but there's some stats that can back up either way of that conversation. You have to find ways to keep Shea in front of you, because the moment he gets your hip and the moment he gets downhill, it makes it impossible to guard this Thunder team. They have too many weapons. You have to find ways to shrink the floor and keep Shea in front. And another key to that, take care of the ball. If you're not allowing the Thunder to get out in transition, if you are really protecting the ball, turnovers were obviously significant in game 1. Julius Randle had 5. The Timberwolves must prioritize ball security, especially against this aggressive Oklahoma City defense.
He's playing fast today.
Duty EB.
But what about the Shea Trey bit? 27% in the postseason. Mm-hmm. I'm mandating back off.
Yeah.
Kitty.
I agree. He goes 0 for 4 in game 1. He's never been a proven three-point shooter in his life. He's a primary ball handler, so that means he's probably having to be in some sort of catch and shoot situation, something he's not comfortable with. I'm not saying you back off and dare an NBA MVP to shoot threes. Have a hand still, but you can't let him get hips. Just watch tonight. All he does is try to get your hip. He tries to get Jaden's hip. He tries to get Naz's hip. Anybody they throw at him, they're trying to get their hip. And the moment that happens, it's either a hoop or a whistle, and that's not good for the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Minnesota mandates into game 2, 7:30 tonight, KFAN. And here comes Mad Producer.
Yeah, we did talk prior to the show, Parker, about maybe just hitting those shots, right? Let's just expect a professional operation to hit more threes than they did in game 1. Now, if they hit just a few more of those, specifically early, that means they might be able to also win in the paint.
Nas wing left to a cutting Dante. Down the lane, lobs it up. Rudy throws it home. The alley-oop from Dante to Rudy. It's a second alley-oop the Wolves have connected on here tonight.
Regular season playoffs, I understand there are very few similarities, Parker, but in both their victories over the Thunder, specifically in February, without Rudy and Randle, by the way, they crushed in the paint. They had 56 and 62 points respectively in those two victories. One was the massive comeback with the OTW. They had 20 points in the paint in game one. So that's myriad factors, right? That is the 51 triples. That is how Oklahoma City defended early. Let's just clog the paint. And then naturally, when you start seeing a bench that was like 2 for 21 at one point from beyond the arc, they didn't have to change. We weren't hitting them and we couldn't get inside. I think that has to change tonight. So there's a chain reaction of hitting a few more threes, being a bit more efficient outside. That's going to bring that 51 number down. And I think you are going to, if you're successful, you're going to see more lobs to Rudy, like you heard in the highlight. You're going to see a Nas getting inside. You're going to see a more invigorated and explosive Anthony Edwards to the rim, which leads to him maybe getting some whistles tonight. I think if you win in the paint, my mandate would be 50 or more points in the paint tonight leads to a win for the Wolves.
I like that a lot.
Number.
I like that a lot,
Me
though.
too.
I think it's something that we saw in the dominating Wolves game throughout this playoff so far. We had control of the paint, whether that be the Lakers team or the Warriors team. We were able to not really feed the post. We're not a team that's going to hey, let's get it to Rudy and let him go operate inside. No, that's not what we're asking. We're asking guys like Anthony Edwards, Mike Conley, Dante DiVincenzo, some of these guards to, hey, I'm open from three maybe, but this guy's closing out on me. Can I drive a closeout, get around him, look for my score, and if that's not there, can I dump to Rudy for a lob, or can I put one on the glass where Chet Holmgren has to help over, and then even if I miss it, it's a tip slam from Rudy. We had 12 offensive rebounds in that game one. I'd like to see that number at least 50% more, get into the 16, 17, 18 range. And I think that's a way where you can just shear up things inside, right? Because I think this is a Wolves team that they have some of the size advantage. Now, OKC has some shot blockers inside that can do some things. But when you're Anthony Edwards and you're these guards, you create the tempo, you create the aggressiveness downhill. That allows guys like Rudy and Nas Reed to crash the glass, grab offensive rebounds, and get extra possessions against an Oklahoma City team that doesn't want to continue to play with the Wolves. I think the Wolves, their offense is it's so different than what they've done in the past in terms of the way Anthony Edwards attacks defense and how he sets up guys. Now I'm looking for Ant to take over a little bit more. Yeah, he's kind of making the right play, but if he can kind of take over and look for his a little bit more, I think that's going to get others involved in a weird way.
What would some mandates be from P-Fox outside of Conley more clock?
Yeah.
Force the Shea Tray and dominate the paint in a way your nickname is Sherwin-Williams.
I always love that one.
Man, take care of the ball. Too many turnovers. 17 turnovers is too many. It's something that I highlighted going into this series. I saw some of the looseness against the Warriors team. Now, granted, the Warriors are a really good defensive team, but so is this Thunder team. This Thunder plays hard defense. They're physical. Chris Finch has gone on the record saying how much they foul, and it's not being called. And I agree. But at some point you have to fight through the little ticky-tack stuff, and you got to find ways to be strong with the ball. And 17 turnovers is too much, especially when it leads to live ball turnovers that are transition points. And when you get a guy like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, where that's where he benefits, that's where he's at his best, you can't allow MVP-type players to be at their best throughout the playoffs. And that specifically is in the transition game. And that's something that we can control as a Minnesota Timberwolves team. Take care of the ball, and you have an opportunity to win game 2 tonight.
Anybody happen to catch the epic game 1 at Madison Square Garden last evening?
Wow. Was that the best game I've watched in a long time?
For those who watched at the end of regulation with Indiana trailing, and Indiana just outscored the Knicks in the final 2.5 minutes, 20-6. I mean, it was a 3-point shooting barrage by a player named Aaron Nesmith or Nesmith. They came charging back, but they couldn't get over the hump. So Tyrese Halliburton drives to the basket, and then there's 7-footer Mitchell Robinson. And Tyrese is like, okay. So he retreats with the clock running down, 4-3-2, hoists what he thinks is a straightaway three. I'm like, Tyrese, bruh, take on Mitchell and go to the line.
Yeah.
As the ball was 10 feet in the air.
Oh, yeah.
Old schoolers can think Don Nelson from back in the days when he played for the Celtics. And then it came down and it went in. and the Pacers thought they had a dub, but it ended up being a 2-point make. So it was a tie game. We go to overtime, and Indiana outdueled the Knicks in overtime. Super high-scoring game, one of the better games I've seen probably in the last 10 to 20 years.
He made a massive mistake. I'm sure you saw this, though, Parker. It's a long series. And to emulate the Reggie Miller choke sign when he thought it was a 3 to win it, and ultimately they win that game. Game 1 choke sign at MSG.
With Reggie Miller, the author of the choke celebration in front of Spike Lee when he played for the Pacers. He was paying homage to Reggie after the game. Tyrese was interviewed, and he was like, everything's great except I blew my celly. Yeah. I mean, I saved that celly for Reggie. It wasn't a 3, so we'll have to work on that one.
Oh man, how great of a guy though in Tyrese. It's like, it's game 1, man. You don't want to, as a competitor, you don't want to step on any toes early, and now he just added some fuel to the fire that is New York Knicks. But man, this Pacers team is legit, man. I think a lot of people want to see a New York Minnesota finals just with the drama of it. Don't count this Pacers team out, man, because the way that they play,
I think the guys they
bring, oh my goodness, the guys they bring out the if Aaron Nesmith is playing like that, going 8 of 9 from 3 as your third or fourth guy, you're signing up for a finals appearance. I
felt so old at 40 watching the post game last night when he's like, I don't know if I can do it again, the choke signal, because I might be aura farming. What the hell is aura farming?
I have no idea.
Come on, PA. These are some of the buzzwords we're working out here.
Well, I had a part of a meal the other evening made with something called orza.
Orza, yeah.
Anybody heard of?
Yeah, it's a little grain or like almost like a couscous.
Fantastic! Yeah, it was for game 1, orza and meatballs, and it was good. All right, we got to go down OKC way and chat with Johnny Athletic in a second. But 30 seconds, you get it all.
Man,
players, current players, former players, whatever, D1 pro, whatever. It's my experience. They don't like the must win. Like they don't talk like that, like, hey, this is a must win tonight for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And when I heard it on the power trip earlier, I was like, okay. But then they started laying some things out about winning 4 of the next 5 against these guys and stuff like that. So as a former player and an elite basketball mind, do you deem this evening a must win for the Minnesota Timberwolves, which means if they don't win, you're all in on get ready to enjoy your vacation because you're done.
Yeah, I never want to go there. And I think as a locker room, you never want to go there unless you're down 0-3, and then it becomes an actual must-win situation. I think this Wolves team just needs to get back to what they do best, and that's playing as a one unit. They need to avoid scoring droughts. I think that's something we saw in the second half. The Wolves really struggled offensively. Kind of, the ball doesn't go in, and this is something me and Nordo talked about. Sometimes it's a make or miss league. But you have to have flow, and you have to maintain offensive flow, something that's super important and something that we didn't see in the second half. And maybe that is a Mike Conley kind of orchestrating the offense more. And then secondly, Anthony Edwards needs to step up. His leadership, his score make ability, being the primary offensive threat. He has such a knack for just efficiently scoring the basketball. He needs to continue to do that while he facilitates for his teammates. I think if Anthony Edwards comes out, lights the torch, gets on fire right away, gets others involved, this Wolves team gets energy. They all kind of buy into what's going on. And then you win a game in Oklahoma City and you bring it back home to the Target Center for game 3. You set yourself up really well. So no, PA, it's not a must win, but I think it's a must get my team on track of what we want to do to try to beat this Thunder team.
You are a lead, young man. Thanks for the contribution, Parker Fox. Tell Taylor yours truly says hello, and better luck in game 2, okay?
Yes, sir, love you.
I love you too.
Oh,
this is the Love Covenant. This is 9 to noon at FM 100.3 KFAN. Thank you, Timber Tech, for What's on Deck 9 to noon today. And thank you, Nordo, for the cash thing.
The Fan wants to give you a chance, along with BigDeck.com, to get some bonus bucks, National Cash Contest style. Go to KFAN.com, use the keyword happy, and you'd be very happy to win $1,000. Some bonus bucks. The keyword is happy at KFAN.com.
Jon Krawczynski of The Athletic, theathletic.com, beat writer covering the Minnesota Timberwolves, joins us now from OKC, and we greatly appreciate the time. Before we dive deep into Game 2 this evening, Johnny Athletic, Indiana and the New York Knicks last night, Game 1. Are you kidding me with that game? I mean, you're a basketball snob. You had to love that.
Oh, man, it was unbelievable. I was watching it with my guy Dane Moore and your guy Dane Moore and several other media folks down here in OKC, and just to watch that collapse and watch the Halliburton bounce shot go 10 feet in the air and still fall through, and just all of the things that had to happen for that to unfold and for the Pacers to finish off that comeback. It's why I love the NBA, PA. You just never know. You just never know what's going to happen, and it was incredible theater.
Karl Anthony Towns didn't make much of an impact late in regulation or overtime. In overtime, he had some moments, but overall, what a fantastic game by Cat last night, right?
No, he was unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, it was 34 and 10 or 12, something like that. I can't remember the total stats, but especially in the fourth quarter, he had this kind of running hook shot. He hit a tough baseline pull-up jumper. I was happy for him. He's my guy. I want to see him do well, and to see him play that well on that stage, I thought was great to see. That he had that kind of desperation heave at the end of the game to try and tie it, and as soon as he let it go, I thought it was going in, and it was probably 6 inches short, but when he let that thing fly, I thought it was going to drop. But he played really, really well last night for the Knicks.
Mark Daigneault is super respected and just a wonderful coach, isn't he?
Oh, he's great. And the thing that you respect most about him, PA, is that just you can see the way that he coaches and teaches. Every single player on the Thunder knows exactly what they're supposed to do, exactly when they're supposed to do it. It doesn't matter if it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at the top of the roster, going all the way down, Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, all the guys towards, the bottom of the rotation. They just come in and they don't really make mental mistakes. They are a very just really disciplined, really focused team that is so well organized. And I think that's one of the things that makes the Thunder so difficult to play against, is they just don't beat themselves with sloppy turnovers, with missed assignments, with not knowing the game plan. And so that's all a tribute to Mark Daigneault and what he does. He's a really good coach. He's incredibly smart, but he just gets these guys to not only buy into what he's selling them, but also just to understand it on a level that a lot of coaches, frankly, can't get all of their guys on the roster to do.
I think I think with some Minnesota mandates we are laying out today, 9 to noon for Game 2, I think Conley should get more clock tonight and play around 30 minutes. Do you?
I think it might have to be that way, just because we've seen he's one of the very few guys on the team that you can rely on not to turn the ball over. And turning the ball over against Oklahoma City is death. That's what the Thunder thrive on. Their half-court offense, PA, is okay. Their shooting is fine, but where they murder you is live ball turnovers, getting out in transition, scoring at the rim, or pull-ups for three in transition, things like that. That's how these big runs that they get on start and keep going. And so Mike Conley is the one guy out there who plays it cool, calm, and collected, who can make the simple play, which is so important against the Thunder. And I do think that, I think more playing time for him is probably the prescription for all of the turnover issues that the Wolves had in Game 1.
So, and part of that too, Johnny, is there an aspect of this where with Conley, or maybe even just ideologically, they're moving the ball a bit more? Those turnovers, a lot of that last game, specifically with Randall, he's trying to back down defenders back to the basket. He's trying to, and it was all about, can we just find a pathway inside? And suddenly it's Dort, it's Jalen Williams. I think Gilgeous-Alexander had a few steals, and they're just closing so quickly and sniping that thing. Is it an aspect of ball movement that matters in a situation like this with those turnovers too?
Yeah, I think it is, Nordo. I think it's ball movement, but I think also what you're hinting at is recognition. They have to know where these guys are coming from and where to kind of watch out for. And I do think that one of the characteristics of this team over the course of this season and even in these playoffs, excuse me, is they are students who learn by doing, not by studying. And so Ant Edwards is like this. The team in general is like this. They have to get on the court and play against their opponent to really absorb who they are, what they do, and where are the weaknesses that they can attack and where are the things that they have to avoid. They can try to prepare for these guys and watch film and practice against it prior to a series, but it really doesn't seem like they really have everything click in until they get into a game and feel it. And so if you're going to try to be an optimist, you would think that tonight would be better because they've been through a full game with the Thunder now. They've kind of understand what is going on and where they're trying to go with it. And so they should be a little cleaner in how to attack it and how to anticipate where those, kind of sneaky guys are coming from and to try and sneak up and knock the ball away, steal it from them when their back is to a defender. So there's some adjustments to be made, but I do think that them just being in it for a game should help them going into tonight.
Borrowing Johnny Athletic from Bump. It's the Borrowing from Bump segment. Jon Krawczynski, athletic.com. He's in OKC, 7:30 for Game 2 on KFAN tonight. Dante DiVincenzo, graded A to F. How would you grade Dante's postseason?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a D, I would say. He hasn't failed. They've won and got to this point. But when you look at what you expect from Dante DiVincenzo and what he has given, it's certainly been very disappointing. I thought that actually Game 1 was maybe his most disappointing game, and not just because he was missing shots, but it was the decision making. It was when he was pulling those threes. It was early in the shot clock stuff. There was even a couple of cases where he catches it in the corner, passes up a wide open three, drives into traffic, and just creates even more problems for him and for the team. And so you can tell that he is grinding right now. And when he's at his best, it's not just that he's knocking down shots, but he's playing really good defense. He's being physical. He's rebounding. And we just haven't seen enough of that at all, which is quite frankly really surprising, PA. He had such a great run in the playoffs with the Knicks last year, and he has sort of the toughness about him that makes you think this is a playoff player. And he just hasn't played well enough so far for the Wolves. They really need to get him and Nasri going in this series to really have a chance to even the series and then to eventually go on and win it against the Thunder.
So all adjustments and everything inside, is there an aspect of this where if Dante has a B game, I mean, I remember one, he pulled up from 28 or 30 in Game 1, and it was mind-boggling to watch that and super frustrating, and clearly he was frustrated and trying to will something into existence. But all things aside, could you say, based on, okay, they're going to clog the paint, they're going to force us to hit triples. If all things are the same and you see Nas knock a couple down, you see Nas not have maybe, I feel like one of the worst games in a Timberwolves uniform, if Dante has a B or even a C game, that we might be talking about Game 1 so much differently. In the end, they had some shots, Johnny.
Yeah, totally, Nordo. I mean, when you look at their shot profile, their shot chart from Game 1, they had plenty of quality looks for quality shooters. Now, it's one thing to say, that they didn't make shots, but then, they were in the hands of guys that you didn't really feel good about, and they missed those, and you say, well, what do you expect? A lot of the shots that they generated in Game 1 were from, DiVincenzo, Alexander Walker, Mike Conley, Naz Reid, like really good looks that did not go down. And not only did not go down, but they missed every one of them almost. And so I do think one of the big keys for tonight is they have to knock some of those down early because the only way that Oklahoma City is going to get out of the defense that they have where they just pack the paint and make it really difficult for Randall and Edwards to get to the rim is if they have a reason to get out to the perimeter. And that's the reason would be that those guys are hitting shots. And they're, the Wolves were, I think, the fourth best 3-point shooting team in the NBA during the regular season. We've seen them have big games against the Lakers, against the Warriors, hitting threes and with the problems that causes. And it just did not happen in game one. And so you have to think that they're going to regress to the mean a little bit, and those guys are going to make shots. And if that does happen, I really do think it opens driving lanes for Randall and Edwards, and the whole complexion of the game changes dramatically.
Johnny Athletic, hear me out on this one. It's a bit of a long winder. OKC's bench compared to that of Minnesota. So consider Isaiah Joe. He fell out of favor the final 5 games in the Denver series. Played almost 14 minutes Tuesday night, hit a 3, made all of his free throws, and grabbed 8 rebounds, all right? OKC is not afraid to play guys because they've played in relatively big moments during the year. Should the Timberwolves have done a better job with Clark and Shannon Jr. this season, so maybe they would trust them more right now?
I think that is one of the valid criticisms of Chris Finch this year, and how highly I think of him, and I know you do as well. I wouldn't even say that it's a matter of not developing the guys, because I think I think Terrence Shannon Jr., I think Jalen Clark, I think Rob Dillingham, I think they all can play. I think they're talented, and we've seen when they got on the floor that they were able to play and they were able to contribute, especially Shannon and Clark. And so it is really just a matter of Chris Finch having to deviate a little bit more from the top 8, his beloved top 8, when things are not going well. And I will say, I'll give Finch this. I do think that in game 1, you stick with your guys. These are the guys that got you here. You're in back-to-back Western Conference Finals, first Minnesota men's team to do that since 1981. In any of the 4 sports. So he's had an incredible amount of success doing it this way. He has been validated with his approach. But part of that is that he is placing his faith in these top 8 to come through. And so if they have a bad game, they don't have to look over their shoulder. That said, now we are in the money round. Now we are one step away from the NBA Finals. And so I think if it continues tonight, if Alexander Walker, if DiVincenzo, if Naz, if these guys are really struggling again, I think the trigger has to be a little quicker to try something new. Shannon has played really, really well against OKC. So if you're having offensive problems, get him out there, just see if he breaks something, goes to the basket, gets fouled, creates something that way. Chris Finch is going to have to be very malleable and just really react in real time, because falling down 0-2 would be a really, really tough hole to climb out of.
What do you do with Gobert tonight?
I think PA, you got to hope that, first of all, that he doesn't pick up 2 fouls in the first minute and a half of the game and really kind of throw everything out of whack. But the other thing with him is you give him a chance early and say, Rudy, if you don't rebound and you don't finish at the rim offensively, we can't play you. And so it's got to be in his head that the urgency is there to be an offensive rebounding machine. The way that Rudy impacts this series against these kind of athletic, fast-playing Thunder is to hammer them on the offensive glass, putbacks, grab and kick out for open shooters. Like, that's where he's going to have to make his mark, and he just didn't do enough of that. They missed a ton of shots in game 1 that should give Rudy a ton of opportunities to grab a rebound and to give them second chances. And he just wasn't able to do that. So if that presence is not there early, then I do think you kind of convert out of it and you go Randall, Reed, McDaniels in your front court as much as possible and try and stay with the Thunder that way. The one issue with that is that when Rudy is off the floor, their defense is really not that good. Rudy did not play much in the second half in game one, and they gave up 70 points in the second half. So it's a difficult balance to strike, but I think you give Rudy a chance, but you have to have a kind of a short leash there.
Yeah, and you saw Holmgren with like 9-10 points, a lot of easy finishes in the fourth quarter with Rudy off the floor. Continuing with Rudy a little bit, this is, the too early fouls are a thing, and you nailed that, Johnny. I'm curious. I feel like sometimes Rudy's put in a bad spot, and we were talking about this a bit yesterday, and there was the Eurostep moment. Somebody laid it off to him. I think it was Ant, and he was just in an awful position to try and finish that thing. And I feel like there are circumstances. He's never going to have the best hands in the league, and there is kind of balancing the right play with knowing who's on the other end of the right play. You know what I mean? And utilizing Rudy and the best things about his game. He can always be better, certainly, but I feel like we've put him in bad spots at times.
Yeah, excuse me. There's certainly a decision-making element that was lacking in game one, both from the guys around Rudy and how they were getting the ball and what positions they were putting him in, but also Rudy sometimes has a very maddening kind of propensity to say, I'm going to make a finish on this play when he literally can't do it. And he tries to do too much sometimes.
Yeah.
And it ends up looking ugly. The ball's hitting off the bottom of the rim, and the team, the Thunder are going back the other way in transition, essentially, when he makes plays like that. So both his teammates around him and Rudy himself tonight really have to concentrate on making the simple play. When you try to do too much against the Thunder, they just feast on that because they speed you up, and then you do things out of character, and it ends up getting wild. And that's exactly what the Thunder want. So the Wolves and Rudy in particular have to be very clear-minded and just do the simple play over and over and over again and try and make something happen that way.
A couple more here for Johnny Athletic. And since we're on a big man bent, personally speaking, I'm not too worried about Naz Reid's shot tonight. And I think it's going to get better tonight and the rest of the series. However, does he need to become more of a rebounding factor? I mean, like right now?
Yes, he does. The Wolves can't lose the rebounding battle to the Thunder. Like, they just can't. And I know that the Thunder are hard playing, intense guys, and they do have size with Holmgren and Hartenstein and all of this stuff, but they just have to impose themselves physically on this game and use their muscle, which they have more of, to control that area of the game. And that includes Naz Reid. He's a big, strong dude. He's got to get down there and grab boards and then start that, secondary break to get it up the floor quickly and get into their offense. The Bears got to do better. He had like 3 rebounds in the whole game. Jaden McDaniels is actually doing pretty well in that regard, but they just need to flex their muscle a lot more than they did in game one. And it kind of does start with Naz Reid. It should not come down to PA for Naz. Did you make shots or did you not, in terms of, are you making an impact on the game? And so he's got to find other ways to do that. I think he had 4 assists in game one, which was nice, but there's always more that he can do.
Lastly, the A topic for Anthony Edwards. What do you expect from Edwards tonight?
Well, he said he was going to be more aggressive. So usually when he says that, he means it. The interesting thing to watch will be, how does he do that? Because it is clear that the Thunder's approach is, we are going to get the ball out of your hands and make your role players beat us. And so if Ant tries to be over aggressive, that could be a bit of a problem. That said, if he means by aggression that he's just hell-bent and attacking the rim over and over and seeing if he gets, a half of the calls that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander gets, that's a good thing for the Wolves, I think. He needs to be in attack mode. He needs to be getting the ball, in transition and going right to the rim and getting to the free throw line. And if he does that, I do think good things will happen, because not only does that mean he can sometimes score at the rim or get the free throws, but once Ant touches the paint, that collapses the defense and it creates even better looks for McDaniels, for DiVincenzo, for Reed, for Julius Randle on the perimeter, clean looks that they can knock down. And that puts what Chris Finch has talked about the last couple of days is getting the offense in rhythm. A lot of those open shots were not in rhythm, and Ant can create that rhythm by being aggressive and attacking the rim.
Excellent information. You're an elite basketball mind. If by chance people want to follow you on Twitter, how do they do that?
At JONKRAWCZYNSKI.
Can you repeat the part of the stuff where you said all about the
I'm
things?
going to grab my pen here.
Love you, bud. Enjoy the game tonight.
Thanks, fellas. Good to talk to you.
You too.
Thank you.
Johnny Athletic, Jon Krawczynski of The Athletic and theathletic.com. When 9 to noon continues, we have 2 more Minnesota mandates for you. And what we're doing is we are mandating things 9 to noon would like to see tonight to get back into this Western Conference Finals series against Oklahoma City. We're only down a game, but if you lose tonight against those guys, you are deeply immersed in the belly of the beast. And you don't want to deal with that big money. So get the money tonight. Use these Minnesota mandates to your favor. We have 2 more next segment, and we also will tell you how you can win the Sioux Cup Manufacturing Prize today. You're listening tonight. The Vox for Timberwolves Radio, Alan Horton, is quite active on Twitter during the postseason. And 21 hours ago, at Wolves Radio, I mean, it's negative, but man, he dropped a doozy here. And it plays into the A topic from the Game 1 loss established 9 to noon yesterday, where the whining, complaining, and obsession over Shai Gilgeous-Alexander hunting fouls, or if you blow on Shai, it's going to be a foul, stuff like that. It absolutely matters in this series. But the A topic was shooting 51 threes and hitting 29%. I mean, that's just utterly ridiculous. And it's happened several times this postseason. One game they won, closing out the Lakers when they missed 40. Then at home against Golden State in Game 1, they missed 33 and they took the L. Horton tweeted yesterday at Wolves Radio, Game 1 wide open 3-point attempts. No defender. This is the key here. Is no defender within 6 feet.
Oh, goodness.
I mean, 6 feet, man. That's like I'm 6'1.5", 6'2". I mean, that's a long way away. So no defender within 6 feet. Minnesota was 8 of 30, 26.5% in that scenario where you're basically not guarded.
Right.
OKC in the same situation. 3-point shots. Nobody within 6 feet, hits 77%, 10 of 13. Here's another one I heard yesterday on, I think it was NBA radio with Antonio Daniels, former point guard in the NBA, just spitting some knowledge. I believe this is an NBA record through X amount of games. But the Oklahoma City Thunder, after the Tuesday night win against the Timberwolves and the way the turnover situation has evolved, not only for the Wolves, but the Wolves in OKC, but for the Thunder during the totality of the postseason, OKC is plus 85 in the take-give. I mean, taking the ball or turning over the ball, they're an NBA record at this stage, plus 85. Wow. So as the Minnesota mandates go, winning the turnover battle, for the Timberwolves to win the turnover battle tonight, they'd be about plus 310. But nevertheless, you can win it. And you can win it with players like Jaden McDaniels and on-ball physicality.
Kind of think we let off the pressure a little bit. Like, we was picking up 94 feet. I feel like we kind of let that off. And then just staying with the game no matter what the score is. You know, anything can happen. And just it's a playoff game. You just got to play till the buzzer go off.
Now I'm with that, J-Mac. When checking them, this is a Minnesota mandate. It's a mandate number 5 from Nordo and yours truly. When checking them, Get up in that uniform like you did versus the Lakers and Warriors, man. Play man-to-man, a way they get to know what you that you're going to have to pack a lunch this evening if you're Oklahoma City to score baskets. So on-ball physical defense, that was pretty non-existent a fair amount of the game because I think players are worried about players running around them. If you're worried about anything during the course of a game at this level, at this stage of the equation, you will lose. So do what you do, man. On-ball physical defense and set that tone. Make them pack a lunch. Be steely like Jimmy. Mental tenacity and envelope pushing. On-ball physicality. Don't reach on SGA and make him shoot threes. However you get that done, make it happen. It's the Shea Trey, and I think it'll go the wrong way. Just do your defensive jobs and man up with this on-ball physicality and man-to-man defense.
I just want to ask you a quick aside, and then I'll get to mine. You were mentioning with Johnny though is how they do that. It's kind of like I don't care how you do it, just do it. But Clark and Shannon, is that too far a leap for Chris Finch in the same way that Dagnall, you mentioned it, Isaiah Joe, I mean, it just felt like they were coming in waves, man. They were doing hockey-style freaking line shifts at times, it felt like. So is that too far a leap for Finch to adjust in that vein where he finds a universe and a rotation that includes a Clark and it includes Shannon Jr. to help with that on-ball physicality where undoubtedly whistles are going to fly?
I understand the suggestion. I'm not opposed to it unless it slows things offensively. I mean, Jalen Clark started 3 games against OKC, and thinking back about it and chatting with some people about it, did quite a good job on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, about the best you can do under the circumstances. If you watch Clark during the course of games, his offensive awareness, it might be a D right now. I mean, it's a D- to a D+.
I get you.
It just when you do something like that, you have to recognize I'm going to lose out in certain facets I need, but setting a tone with on-ball physicality, whether it's Clark, Shannon Jr., whomever it is, Edwards is really, really good at it when he's engaged defensively. That's what I'm looking for tonight.
I dig it. And for me, this is going to be low-hanging fruit. I just need one guy. I just need one guy from the bench.
Smash stolen by Dante DiVincenzo. He's off to the races.
Come on,
body
man.
healed. He's got him to beat. Dante rises and hammers.
With you.
How about that throwdown from DiVincenzo?
I mean, this is so simple. I did not lose sleep over putting this take together. I don't need it to be all 3. I don't need it to be Naz Reid, Dante DiVincenzo, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker carrying this game. I just need one. The D game has to be a B game from Dante DiVincenzo, and I'll even arbitrarily throw out just stupidly.
I'm with you.
17 points. Just one. I just need one guy off the bench to hit a few triples, fill up the box score. Smacking those threes. How about pushing to the rim as part of owning the paint or winning in the paint, as I talked about earlier? Nickeil, longest shot, it feels like, of the 3 right now. Kind of a very inconsistent postseason for him. A lot of it from him is going to be kind of following to the rim, a second shot, second chance finish from him, or hitting some threes from the corner. Just one. I don't need all 3. I don't need a miracle game here. I just need one of those 3 to provide a high-end performance that all 3 of them have shown they can do. If we get 1 out of 3, and I truly believe this, 1 out of those 3 has a little blow-up game tonight, we're 1-1 back to Minnesota.
With DiVincenzo, the trade with the Knicks is a model trade. I mean, you can post that trade and be like, see what they got from Cat, see what they got from Julius, see what they got from DiVincenzo. It's a model trade as all-time trades in the NBA go. Dante's ruining it. He's ruining the trade, man. I mean, it just can't be the way it was last game. When I say pack a lunch when you defend them, we mean it, but out to lunch would be the other side of that, and Dante needs to wake up with that. All right, talkbacks are going to take place during the course of the radio show today. We have a Sioux Cup Manufacturing prize package like we have had during the course of the week. So, farmers, compare your current farming lot in life to the Wolves' Game 1 performance and what potential sunshine and crops flourishing could be on the horizon for the team and your farm, and or really for everybody, not just the Tractor Covenant. What are your Minnesota mandates for the Howl tonight? We'd like to get some of your mandates from what you want to see from your favorite team, and we will play them back for Kevin Lynch when he's in studio 1 hour from now. Talkback's open for all, and we hope to get some mandates to play back at 11 o'clock, and we all can analyze. Nacho Lieber's next.